Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our exclusive webinar for NAR folks. I am Dale with RealVault Firepoint. I've got Jacob on the line as well. He's going to keep his video off. He's here to assist us today. And I've got a very special guest, one of our favorite people to talk to, Chris, joining us today to talk about his team, how he's winning with lead gen and some of the other challenges that he's facing with his team and how he's handling those right now in today's market. So we're going to go through, talk about the KSA Dream Homes team, and we'll talk about pay-per-click. We're going to be talking about the team. We'll talk a little bit about recruiting. We're going to talk about seller leads, all kinds of fun stuff today. So thank you for joining, and make sure that you input questions and engage with us in the chat. We love to look through every question that comes in. We will try to get to them as quick as we can. And we're also recording this. So if you have other people on your team that you want to see this, we will email out the recorded webinar after the fact. So without further ado, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the invite. I always love jumping on with Firepoint. I'm a huge fan. It's funny. I was talking to this guy yesterday, new guy, new agent in the brokerage. And he's like, yeah, I watch all your YouTube videos. And he actually brought up, I did a Firepoint because I do this versus on products and stuff. And, you know, out of all the other systems that are there, and I've used a lot of them through the years, I'm a huge fan of Firepoint. So whenever you guys ask me, I love to jump on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, it's very generous of you. I know you're busy. So, Chris, I just want to jump right in. By the way, sorry, before I start, if you're watching this, there should be a view button in the top right corner of your Zoom window here. And if you want to change your view, you can change it from the speaker, whoever's talking, it'll make them full screen, or you can go to gallery and it'll keep both of us up on your screen. So depending on your style, make sure you change that view to whatever makes sense for you and how you like to watch this. And if you do that, you should see the chat down there at the bottom. And I see Jacob's asking some questions. Respond there. Would love to hear where you're from. Where are you joining us from today?
Oh, great question. So I'm actually I'm physically in Marietta right now. I was going to be at my main office, but my wife wasn't feeling too great. So I had to drop off the kids this morning, and I'm at the home office right now. But our team stretches from the border of San Diego all the way through LA. We just recently, because of Firepoint, recently moved into Beverly Hills. We got a $7 million deal and a $5.5 million deal that we're working right now. That was an inbound lead. So, you know, we stretch
Wow.
pretty far.
That's incredible. So what's the background of the KSA Dream team? Like, how many agents do you have? How long have you been doing this? I know you were in the military before. Tell us a little bit about that real quick.
Great question. So how all this started was I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps for a little over 20 years. I'm retired Marine. And while I was in, I started flipping houses and doing construction stuff when I was a young sergeant. So this is a long time ago, a little over 20 years now. And my wife, when I met her and we started dating, thank you much, Jeff. As we started dating and stuff, she saw that I hated real estate agents, absolutely despised working with them. I will even say I still hate real estate agents. I think most agents are overpaid. They're undereducated. They don't use the right systems or tools. I think they're arrogant. Even still, I think a majority of agents are that way. And so she quit her job in order to become my full-time real estate agent while I was still working full-time in the Marine Corps and doing this part-time. When I retired and I built my investments business full-time, she came to me and said, I want to build a team. So Kim Steele is actually my wife. I manage Kim Steele and Associates. I oversee it. I do the teaching, coaching, mentoring, and the overall big vision, dream building of it. But yeah, that started. And KSA Kim, there she is. Is she on? Yeah, right on. So she was the one that really talked me into doing this. I was apprehensive. I did not want to build a team at first because, my own personal beliefs. And it's been a hell of an adventure. So this was probably 8 years ago, somewhere around there. 8 years ago is when we started Kim Steele and Associates. And it started in a small little tiny office with 3 of us. And it just kind of grew to now we have about 25 agents. We have an intern program as well. And yeah, we're starting to really spread and stretch heavily and opening other offices in San Diego County.
That's great. And so let's get into some lead gen talk a little bit.
Sure.
What kind of budget are you putting toward lead gen right now, and kind of how do you approach that spend?
Okay, great question. So the market is always shifting, and I think where some people get confused when they start talking about lead generation. I think I've even had conversations with Jacob about this. They aren't always looking at where it's going, and they don't always understand that when you put in the money, we're of a mindset now of instant gratification, right? As a society, everybody wants what they want right now. So if I do this, I'm going to get money right away. Sometimes you have to hedge. I believe in hedging in certain areas in order for future returns. So lead gen, this is the minimum that I usually spend per agent, minimum $1,000 per month per agent. So that should kind of give, backstory of roughly what we're looking at, 25 agents plus interns. That's the minimum, and it really depends on the market. If we have a run market, or a bull market, if you will, right? If you have a market that's really running and you have an opportunity to pack it, especially in the winter. So I'm usually stacking in the winter, and I'm spending more money in the winter in preparation for the spring. So that's kind of what I was getting at. I actually have different months where I'll spend more and certain months where I'll actually spend less because I'm already overrun with opportunity. I'm already overrun with people that we've been following up with, at our 6-month point, 9-month point, 12-month point, that are starting to pop off. So I don't have to spend as much, and I can move that money somewhere else. So minimum $1,000 per agent is what we spend. I typically will end up spending more than that depending on the market and also the month. I switch it month to month. I'm always studying. I guess that's another one. So like I'm looking over here at my numbers right now. PPC, inbounds, different types of campaigns. I almost change my campaigns every month, and it's by researching what's going on. But I don't just research. I might actually have it here. I don't just research that month. I research 6 to 8 months back, and I get all that information, at least with pay-per-click and Facebook campaigns. I get all that from Firepoint, from the Firepoint business. They actually sent it to me. I got one over here. And then also by looking in our Firepoint on what the agent's returns are from the different campaigns I'm doing in Firepoint and outside of Firepoint. So I study it every month. I don't know if that answers your question the right way.
No, 100%. Because the ROI tracking for you is the key. So you're changing your spend based on the season, based on the ROI. You have like some guidelines for yourself, especially that you said $1,000 per agent per month kind of minimum. But depending on what's going on in the market, which season it is, considering the regular seasonality of the real estate business year to year, it's pretty consistent, right? The ebbs and flows are generally consistent. And then you're really studying that ROI on the campaigns that you're running within Firepoint and the campaigns that you're running outside of Firepoint, using that to make your decisions.
Right. And who is it? Cynthia just brought up I Work My Sphere, which is fantastic. It should be one of your major pipelines, and a lot of social media, and then praying. So this is one of the things I always express to our agents. You should be making money on purpose. So when I do inbound leads or company paid leads, that is money on purpose. If I put X in, it's a money machine. I put X number of dollars in, I have an expectation of money back. And part of the big one is what should be on there is, so one of the major pipelines, I was on a team meeting this morning. We do a morning call every day, morning huddle, follow up. That should be your number one. I think a lot of people are always looking for low hanging fruit, especially on inbound leads. So you're paying all this money to get inbound leads. Somebody even put up realtor.com. That's fine. Okay. So you're paying to get inbound leads, whatever that inbound lead might be. If you're just looking for low hanging fruit, you are getting almost nothing. So you got to look at the incubation period and expectation for each one of the leads that you're paying for. Inbound leads are going to have different variations of incubation period. So example, if I'm doing PPC, and there's a few different ways that I do PPC, which I think you guys, I don't think anybody really does it the way I do. A lot of people go hyper focused. I actually let the internet tell me what's the right thing for us. So I spread load that quite a bit. But as it's coming in, I know there's an incubation period. Typically on PPC, I'm looking at, it's a 3 to 4 month incubation for me to start getting some serious returns. And then it's a 6 to 8 month incubation for it to actually really hit hard. So that's follow up. I want every one of the agents on our team should have 50 hot working leads. So, depending on what you're bringing in, you got 50 hot leads, and we're reusing and rewashing. And if they aren't getting returns or they're getting ghosted, we roll it to another agent to start reworking that lead. Facebook leads, typically you're going to give a little more time. You're going to get them at a cheaper rate, but it's going to take a little more time for that incubation to kick in. So yeah, I like making money on purpose, not by praying. Cynthia, don't get me wrong. I think praying is fantastic. I do it every day as well. But you shouldn't be praying to make money. That's a really rough way to build a business. To me, that's not a business. That's a hobby. You might as well get into Scentsy or something. Go sell essential oils if you want to hope you make money. But my opinion. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a ton to unpack there, and I really appreciate that answer, because you're obviously bringing some sophistication to your methodology here, and it shows. And so, incubation period. Tell me a little bit about how you're approaching that, because you said you're 3 to 6 months, I think is what you said, for a campaign to get traction, and then when you're really looking at about 8 months, I guess, then to measure the return on the total campaign. Like, what are you watching in that first little bit?
Great question. Okay. And direct mail works pretty similar as well. For those of you, I saw somebody put up direct mail. I'm not going to get into it because that's not what this topic is about. But so I'll back up. There's an agent out here that I really love and respect. She's a single agent, and she typically does by herself, no team, single agent. She will tell you she's a full-time mom and a part-time real estate agent. She makes over $400,000 a year just by herself as a single agent. And that's still working with a big box brokerage, which means she's paying a huge split. I keep telling her she might as well just come to our team. She'd actually make more money. But, each to his own. And she was the one that kind of started teaching me some of this stuff, because I'm like, man, this is probably 3-4 years ago when her and I had this conversation. And I'm like, man, the agents aren't converting the way I want them to convert. And she says, Chris, 15 touches. They're going to have to do 12 to 15 touches before those returns really happen. So you have to understand, when I say incubation period, a lot of it is just, it's human nature. Went recently and bought it. My wife has always dreamed of having an FXR or XFR, which is a type of Jaguar. It's a really fancy, it's a 550 horsepower Jaguar. That's what she's always wanted. But before that, I went and bought her a truck, and she wrecked the truck. She wrecks most of her cars. And, but I went to buy this truck, and I show up, and every time I went onto a dealership lot looking for the truck, because this is the big one. Everybody has the ability to do research. We are no more than a resource now. Most people have a gut reaction of no. So when you have an inbound lead of any sort coming in, the gut reaction when you start reaching out to them, depending on how you position the initial script, it's no. Hey, what's going on? You just came in. You want to buy a house? No. Right? That's the initial reaction, is no. No, I was just looking. Just looking. Right? So the question is, how do you change that to make them feel like I always tell our agents, we're here to be a resource. You came in, I'm here to be a resource. How can we help you find what you're looking for? Right? But that takes time, and getting past the gut reaction of no, but then also building a relationship with that person. So I always say the number one rule in real estate is people are going to buy or sell a house with the first or second agent they've been exposed to once they start to think. Here's the key. Once they start to think about buying or selling a home. If you're not selling enough houses, you need to let more people know you help people buy and sell homes. So everybody's going through this process, just like buying a car. First gut reaction is no. They're walking around the lot. They're looking online. Doesn't mean that they're committed to buying the car. They're thinking about buying the car. Now the question is, what is going to be your process? Some of the best processes for following up with potential clients, I learned from car guys. When I go to car dealerships, those guys are relentless. They don't make that much money either, but they're so freaking good at what they do, whether it's text messages, calls. Hey, I was just following up with this. They're always constantly following up. They're always trying to have conversations. They're always trying to be of service. Okay, so wasn't this color? Look, I'll go out there and find what you're looking for. Well, that's the same thing. We should be doing the same thing. As we start doing more and more touches, we start building that rapport. Once they go over that tipping point, you should be the first or second agent there. That's where a lot of people lose their money. So this is just from science and creating a process and procedure of touching with multiple means of communication. It shouldn't just be a phone call. A lot of agents, well, they didn't answer, so screw them. It should be phone calls. It should be text messages. It should be bomb videos. It should be emails. I mean, you got to look at generationally. People that are of my age and older, When AOL came out, like we became hooked with email. A lot of people sit down, they start with email and they won't do anything else in their day. The email pops, they got to look. It's no different text messages for a lot of the younger generation. No different than video,
Mm-hmm.
social media. So to me, it's a process, follow up, follow up, follow up, nonstop. And that's what creates the incubation period.
Yeah, and it's funny because a lot of people. So going back to that car example, don't people actually mentally prep themselves if they're going to a car lot? They, like a husband and wife will talk to each other, and they're going to say they're going to
I'm
have a
not buying
game
today.
plan going in. They're going to say, we're not buying today.
Right.
And it's same concept when you're filling out forms online or looking at properties when you first start. You know, a couple looking for a house together is going to be saying, our time frame is XYZ. We're not going to decide anything today. They don't really understand what it means to pick a real estate agent. They're looking for a house. They're not looking for a real estate agent necessarily. And so I love your approach because you're going into it saying, hey, we're here to serve you, here to help you. I'm not here to get you to say you're going to buy a house today.
I'm here to provide a service. I'm here to be a resource. I'm here to help you look and research whatever you want to look and research. In the process, we're going to build rapport. In the process, and this is something else I also preach, educate to dominate, educate to dominate, educate to dominate. Every time we have those conversations, we're educating them. We're showing them our value up front, especially if you're on the listing side. We're showing them our value up front and why they should be working with us to begin with. Because again, you hit it right on the head. Most people don't know. They don't care. Most people think real estate agents are used car salesmen anyways. They don't like us. They feel like they have to use us. That's why I did this video some time ago. I've had tens of thousands of views on it. I'm telling you, it's possible that we're going to make ourselves extinct because agents, they just don't get it. They don't look at it that way. People feel like that we're a hated necessity. The pain threshold is so high. It's like people would rather chew on nails and eat glass before they start talking to a real estate agent. So how do you bring that pain level down? And then how do you start educating them? So, and it's almost like poisoning the well. As you're educating them, you're actually poisoning the well because I've told you, I don't like real estate agents either. As they start to maybe communicate with, well, my cousin's uncle's nephew, who happened to just get their license last week, said that they help people buy houses too. They're going to talk to their uncle's wife's cousin's nephew and listen to him and go, you're pretty stupid, man. I don't want to work with it. They don't know what the hell they're doing. That's the difference between being a dude that sells Bentleys, at a Bentley dealership, or the dude or person individual that sells used Ford Fiestas, that are missing a wheel, right? Because they do stay up on 3 if you just kind of lean. So I guess that's what separates great agents that are actually in high production to crappy. Let me rephrase, not crappy agents, because those of you might be, oh, that's not fair. They should call us crappy. Okay, well, you're just not there yet because it's a mindset shift. Shift your mindset.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a difference between looking at used car salesmen as a monolith or real estate agents as a monolith, as a group. And like it or not, we're associated with other people in our industry. And so we have to prove to the people that we're talking to, interrupt that pattern a little bit and help them see us as individuals that are looking to help them in their individual case, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually sitting here reading some of these things that are coming in too. Somebody just asked, what's typical or expected conversion rate on inbound leads? Okay, great conversation. I'll tell you what other people tell me it is. And actually, I might actually have so Adam, who's on our team, and my assistant, Annie, they send me these updates once a week on our conversions. So basically I have warm conversions and hot conversions for all inbound leads for that week. And so our typical rate right now is about a 15 to 16% conversion per week. 15, and we're bringing in on our inbound leads, we're bringing in, to give perspective, we're bringing in, I think, 300 to 400 leads per week, which is wild for a lot of people. But the typical conversion rate that a lot of people are excited about is if they got a 5% conversion. And so when I say our conversion proper, that's our warm and hot. Warm is they're moving in and they're in the next portion of the lead funnel, to where we're going to get them out looking at houses within the next 3 months. Hot means we've scheduled an appointment. They're going out and looking at houses to purchase. So
that's just based on that's based on their timeline, how you categorize them warm or hot.
Right.
Solely based on their timeline that you get from them.
Right. So, you figure with that in perspective, our agents every day are typically doing 1 to 2 showings per day. Now, of course, it's a unique market right now in Southern California. It's heavy. I saw this funny video. Somebody tagged me on Facebook last night. As if you're a listing agent, like it's the arrogance. You could write your own ticket on just about any listing out here right now. So as a buyer's agent, we just did some training. I'll probably post it up. I might send it to you guys too, if you want to share it, on how to really work the negotiation side on the buy side to get more conversion to, accepted offers when you put them in.
Mm-hmm.
But, as far as now, what I love is the market's going to shift again. There's going to be a natural lull. Then there'll be a natural adjustment. It always happens. I don't think we're that far. Inventory is starting to loosen up again. So what that means is if you're still holding on to the buy side, for those of you that have teams, I've seen this happen. Okay, we need to stop everything. And we all just need to become listing agents. That is such a dangerous freaking trend. What ends up happening, you're always chasing the market. So we never stop that. So now that we're stacked on the buy side, we're just basically, how do we hold these people off to rotate them as the market continues to shift where it's going to shift? It always does, to where now we can just start stacking them on houses. So just
you got to hedge your bets because you know that the market's going to change. It always does.
Always.
I love that. I love that mindset. Yeah. So we talked a little bit about conversion. Looks like there's some more questions here on lead volumes and things like that. Before we get there, though, what kind of ROI are you looking to get on your investment?
That's a really great question. Really, really great question. So you figure, let's say I'm spending. So I'll talk about it. I typically won't go that in depth on this type of stuff because it's my team stuff. So you figure at a minimum, I'm spending $1,000 per agent, minimum per agent, just on creating, generating. Now that doesn't include all of the other stuff that we do to help them, create business. But just for inbound, it's $1,000 per month that we're spending minimum. So off of that, you figure I have an expectation that each agent will do 2 deals per month. Each deal out here, if it's a dumpster fire, it's still a $10,000 commission. I know depending on where you are in the country, you may not have that, but it all scales, right? So minimum $1,000 per month per agent on inbound. I have an expectation of roughly that's $20,000 per month in commission from each agent. I have 25 agents. Off of that, there's an expectation I'm going to be making $4,000 per deal, right? So that's $8,000 per agent per month that I should be making. So if you look at the return, that's my expectation per agent. So I put 1,000 in, I'm making roughly $7,000 back per agent per month. That's the return I'm looking for.
Yeah. I mean, and so you got all the other expenses that you didn't mention there. You said $1,000 just on leads.
Right. That's just
there's
inbounds.
Obviously a lot more.
But that's my expectation just on inbounds. So keep that in mind. That's just on inbounds. That's my expectations. When we start talking about the other things that we teach, coach, and mentor, whether it's so now we talk about sphere of influence. Follow-up should be a pipeline. Social media should be a pipeline. And I could keep going on the different variations of pipelines, but every agent should have a minimum of 4 pipelines. 5 is ideal. Each pipeline should be giving you a minimum of 1 deal per month. Now, what's interesting, if you're working 5 pipelines, 5 deals per month, which is, again, my expectations for the team. If you're doing 5 deals per month, let's say this one pipeline starts to go bankrupt. Well, you're typically bringing in 2 somewhere else on a different pipeline. So it always balances itself out. Inbounds, I have an expectation of 2 per month per inbound. So that's why a lot of these cats only work 4 pipelines per month in order to generate business, still looking at 4 to 5 deals per month. So just off inbound leads, I have an expectation of $7,000 back. And then I rotate that money into other things.
That's killer. So Jason asks, what are some good lead gen practices for a new agent like myself? And then there was another question, what do you do to get started out of the gate on a low budget?
Okay, great.
Do you have advice there?
Yeah, I have a ton of it. I have another video I did. I got tens of thousands of views on that too. So somebody called me out online once, and they're like, oh, you already have a big team. You don't know what it's like starting over. So I did. I started over. I says, look, I'm going to give myself a budget of $500 to start. I will make six figures. I was going to give myself 6 months, six figures, 6 months. And I'm not using any of my past clients. It took me 2 months to make six figures. And it's just understanding how the pipelines
Wow.
work. And honestly, in the beginning, it's just a freaking grind. It's just a grind, and it sucks. But it's going to be okay. It's going to get better, right? So let me see if I can break a lot of that down. So we'll talk about money. Okay, good lead gen practices for new agents. First off, Jason, the hardest part is that I can't physically ask you questions to your face, because I would ask you, what are you already doing right now? But here's the first one. People that know you, like you, trust you. I would start off, and I'll get to paid stuff too, but I'm going to start off with stuff that's free. So somebody that's the budget conscious individual, right? You don't have a ton of money. Open up your cell phone. Like my cell phone's right here, right? And how many people do you have in your cell phone that phone numbers? So what you need to do, you need to take every one of those cell phone numbers. Let's say you have 500. I have 500 people in there. You need to break that down and say how many people are in. So I'm in California. How many people are in California? How many people used to be in California but moved? How many people are not in California? How many people do I have no idea on? I'm going to break down those numbers per month. So let's say, it's 100 divided by 30. I'm going to send out text messages. So the first hit, I'm going to send out text messages, and I'm going to start creating and generating genuine conversations. Not sitting there saying, hey, did you hear? I sell real estate. Do you want to buy a house? No. Hey, it's been a while. Been wanting to reach out to you. So each person, so if it's 10 people per day, I'm going to send a text. Start off with the icebreaker. How are you? I was just reaching out. Want to see how you're doing. It's been a while. I haven't talked to you. How's the family? And you want to have genuine conversations. Now, what's going to happen eventually is you're going to have what's called reciprocation. The reciprocation, and this is just cell phones. Now, keep in mind, you can take this from your cell phone. You can do it on your social media. You can even rotate this over to, I do it. I taught this to the team one day. I walked outside, right out front of the office. This dude's walking by. Wow, that's a really cool bike. What's going on? And we just start talking. Nice to meet you. Are you from around here? How long have you been here? That's fantastic. What do you do? Now, once I hit the what do you do portion, he goes, well, what do you do? Reciprocation says he has to ask me what I do. I help people buy and sell houses. Really, that's cool. I was just thinking about selling my house. Fantastic. Give me your information real quick. Let's go inside. Let's look it up. So it's really about having genuine conversation with people. This is where a lot of agents go wrong. They're too busy trying to sell instead of, we're human. People want to communicate with people that like them, that, they talk about the big word, right? How are you? What's going on with you? Hammer with questions. Be genuinely interested in them. Start with your cell phone. Go to social media. Do it with your friends and family. Do it when you're out and about. I got the lady at Albertsons up the street. I went, my bagger lady, just sitting there talking, started asking me questions. Oh, how long have you been doing this? You do this? Wow, that's fantastic. You have grandkids? Wow. And she's like, well, what do you do? I help people buy and sell houses. Really? I was thinking about buying a house myself. Fantastic. Well, like, what are you spending right now in rent? So first off, sphere of influence. That should be the very first one that you do. Have genuine conversations with people that already know you, like you, trust you, and continue to expand your sphere by just meeting more freaking people. Okay. That's also where paid inbound leads help a ton too, because now you're expanding your sphere. You can expand it quickly if you do it right. And still, when you're calling people, have genuine conversations. The next thing I would do outside of sphere of influence, social media, man. Social media is it's so cool. There's so many ways to meet people. So let's say, so in Fallbrook, California, if you guys want to look it up, there's a place, there's an online group called Friends of Fallbrook. Okay, Friends of Fallbrook is one of those neat online groups where things have changed. When my dad was, younger, and I was much younger as well, guys had like groups. They're going to the lodge, you're going to this. I remember even the Flintstones used to talk about it. Ladies, same thing. They had these different groups and clubs. That was how they socialized. That was their sphere of influence. Well, that's all changed. A lot of people are still socialized the same way. When you look like even online gaming, it's like, oh, well, they're being antisocial. No, they're not. They're actually getting together. I do an online games. I'm big into gaming, and that's kind of their people. They're hanging out in a group that's larger than anything they would have ever done at the lodge. The question is, how do you tap into that group? So Friends of Fallbrook, it has like 40,000 people on it just for Fallbrook local people. Now you get an opportunity to jump on there, and you should like, share, and comment on everything. Do it 10, 15, 20 minutes per day. Like, share, comment. And don't hammer them with a bunch of real estate stuff. Be seen. Give value. Oh, they called me the Fallbrook Eater for a while, because I would go eat, and I just started taking pictures of me eating at different places, to where restaurants were calling me and saying, hey, can you come eat at our place? Everybody's watching you. And then I happened to tell them, hey, I help people buy and sell homes. We started a thing. It's called FET, Fallbrook Village Talk, on Facebook, that ties into Friends of Fallbrook, 30, 40,000 people, to just sit there and interview some of the most well-known people in the area and talk about serious stuff that everybody wants to hear, but you never see it in the local paper. And some of it was just to basically piss off the local paper because they're doing fluff pieces instead of talking about how the water districts are screwing everybody, right? And everybody wanted to watch.
Right.
And in the process, I'll let everybody know I help people buy and sell houses. Always made sure I put it on there.
Yeah.
So again, leverage.
I mean, there's a guy in my neighborhood. There's a guy in my neighborhood. I just want to share two examples of what you're talking about that came up really recently for me. There's a guy in my neighborhood because we live in a rural community that's outside of Colorado Springs, and he puts together a little email. It's like 3 or 4 lines, and it's what happened with the county planning commission meeting. There's a little festival going on next week, and here's this fundraiser I want to let everybody know about, contribute. It's a great cause. And he just sends this email out. He's built up this huge list, this gigantic list, just by being that focused on what people like me in my community care about.
Right.
And he just keeps me informed. It's the only newsletter that I read. Yeah, there's no graphics in it. He's not selling me anything, but now he has this network of hundreds of people that listen to every word he says and read every word he says. That's one example of something that is an amazing marketing tool if he wants to leverage that for something else. The second example just came up yesterday. I was talking to a broker owner and a team leader in the Midwest. He's got a really successful business. One of his top agents is a detective in the police force. So he earns like $300,000 to $400,000 a year in real estate, but has a full-time job as a detective.
Right.
And he does all of these homes for people that he meets through his detective work, other police, fire, other rescue people. He's the go-to guy. And he's able to do that on the side because he doesn't have to spend that much time on lead generation, on marketing. He just has a network and can tap into that and do really well with it.
Absolutely. So again, if you have little to no money, start thinking outside the box, get creative. Then there's a great book. What's the name of that book? It was my second favorite book last year. I read about 4 books per month. Let me pull up my books here. Man, I'm reading a good one right now. But this book, if you're looking for ideas, if you're trying to come up with what do I need to do to really get after it, it's called Fanatical Prospecting, the ultimate guide to starting sales conversions, filling your pipeline. Jeb Blount, B-L-O-U-N-T, Blount. Dude, that book right there, I made all of our agents read it. So for the couple that asked that question, make sure that you check out that book if you haven't gotten a chance to yet. And that's where you're looking at what is the grind that I need to do with a limited budget and I'm a new agent. Because it's about prospecting. You should always be prospecting. Now, as you start to move forward and you're generating capital, I would say sooner rather than later, that's when I think the next biggest thing is you have to have a CRM. So in the beginning, I got one of those free CRMs, but that's when, even when we were making a lot of transitions, team, et cetera, getting a CRM that's going to be able to grow with you. Again, if you've seen me on some of my other videos, not with just Firepoint, but in general, if you Google me, I talk about Firepoint and how it grows. And by the way, Firepoint doesn't pay me for this. I get $0. They really don't give me any extra budget on any of the crap I'm spending. Trust me, they're not giving me a break, but I wish they would, or at least a t-shirt. It'd be great if you guys at least sent me a t-shirt as many times as I've done these things. But I like Firepoint because it grows with you and also your team. So it's still budget conscious, but the CRM is huge because now I can start putting in my sphere of influence. Now I can start putting in my past clients. I can start building all this stuff for future use in order to generate more business, more money. But on top of that, when you get to the point where you can start spending money for inbound leads, that is a great way to start building your sphere of influence. You're growing your sphere so you're able to touch more people in a shorter amount of time and really start talking, communicating, and then building relationships. So again, you should be popping. The work you do today should be paying out 3 to 6 months from now. If you do it right and you're working the crap out of that every month, by the time that 3 to 6 month thing pops, it just starts rolling on yourself. Your business starts doubling. It becomes an expectation. Okay, so for inbound leads, because I started this long and I did the investment and I'm putting in the work, I should expect 2 deals a month, 3 deals a month, 5 deals a month. There's an expectation because you've been nurturing those relationships. And that's across the board for every pipeline.
So I want to talk about at least a couple of more things here.
Sure.
I want to make sure to fit in 2 more things because these are things that we get asked all the time, right? Because we're talking to hundreds and hundreds of real estate agents every month. And I get with my team on the marketing side, the sales side, the support side, and we just go through, what are the challenges out there in the real estate market right now that we can help? And 2 things. A lot of people want to know about how you're approaching the lead conversion, including how those leads are being routed to your team. That's something that comes up all the time for us when we're talking to team leaders. That's number one. And number two, how do you keep your team accountable to that process? And what are you doing where the rubber meets the road in terms of accountability?
Right. Okay. So I'm making sure I took notes on that one, because actually the first portion of that, I can tell you how leads are routed. I can tell you about team accountability pretty quickly. The very beginning, the first question that you asked, that easily could be an hour by itself. I mean, honestly, that's a deep dive topic. Could be a deep dive topic. So let me answer the first two first that I mentioned, and then we could go and see how deep we want to go into the other ones. So how routed, we've tried in the beginning, we tried so many different things, and I heard so many things. And I think this is where myself, like everybody else, I listen. So I read 4 books a month, but I listen to 1 to 2 podcasts per day. I love podcasts. It's our generation's radio. And if you aren't listening to podcasts and you don't know what it is, Google it. You should be listening to podcasts. And every time I sit down and listen to a podcast, all I need is one golden nugget. It could be a whole hour of garbage. I just need that one sentence where I'm like, ooh, and it makes me think of something that I could try. One of the things I always heard is like, you got to put people on a round robin. And we did it. And every time we've tried it, we went back to it multiple times. Every time we tried it, it just didn't work. And because to me, speed the lead is the key. Speed the lead is the key. And here's the issue as a team, even especially as it gets bigger. When you put it on a round robin, life happens. Life happens all the time. While I'm on an appointment, I just got a phone call. I'm feeding my kid. I'm going to the bathroom. Something, right? So when I'm expecting speed to lead, there it is. Somebody just put up. Well, actually, I thought it was something else. Hold on. So speed to lead is important because it is. And if I know I want somebody like within 5, 10, 15 seconds, I want them reaching out to this individual one fashion or another. And we have our own process on that. And that's why I said that by itself could take an hour just talking about the actual process, because it's deep. And we started, so we've implemented RealVolve. RealVolve has been freaking huge. And actually, you may want to have Adam Nagura, my partner. That's like his baby. He started kissing that thing, and it's paying out big time. It's like, oh, I'm such a happy parent. It's amazing. RealVolve is cool. So speed the lead. When you do a round robin, so somebody doesn't communicate, then it rotates the next person, then the next person. Now it's been 20, 30 minutes. And then I'm supposed to get mad at somebody. I'm supposed to hold somebody accountable. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? And then everybody had life. So basically what I've looked at it now is, if you're hungry and you want it, then you go out there and get it. So it goes out and it's who grabs it first. Now we put limitations in each one of the agents as well, because what we found is when we did that, then you have the 1 or 2 people, that's all they do. But then they aren't doing the proper 3-3-3s in the follow-up process because they took too many damn leads. So you make it to where the process is so good and so in depth that they can only take so much anyways per day. So they're not going to strangulate the rest of the team, for one. For two, there's also, you can only have so many hots, so many warms, and so many that you can keep. Otherwise, you have to release them back to the pond so other people have a shot, right? So I want aggressive people that are there to freaking work, that treat this like a job. If that lead comes in, as soon as you hear your phone beep, you're on your phone. You're going after, you're trying to beat other people out. And
you're using Firepoint. You're using Firepoint to manage that. It's kind of a free for all at first with most of your leads. They just need to get on it as quick as they can. And then you're throwing them into ponds in Firepoint.
Right. We have multiple.
And then you also mentioned, and so you have some rules around all of your ponds, very specific rules about, how many people can each agent handle, how many hot leads, how many warm leads each of them can handle.
Right. New leads,
and you mentioned
hot leads,
earlier,
warm leads, cold leads.
And you also mentioned earlier when we were talking, it was kind of a throwaway comment, but I caught it, which was after somebody runs through the entire conversion process where you have all of your touches mapped out, they follow through that process. You'll cycle, if they haven't converted, you cycle that over to another agent to run through a process again. Correct. And so are you using, you're using some rules and ponds for that, or how are you managing that?
So it's a mix of rules and ponds and also tasks. So this is all managed by, and this is why I said this in particular is easily an hour-long topic, especially somebody just wrote, can you elaborate on 3-3-3? Dude, we could go deep dive into this. And Adam's really the guy for that. Adam Nagura, guy's awesome. But
Okay, well, it sounds like you just volunteered Adam for a
Oh yeah,
follow-up webinar
yeah,
to go
man.
into
I'm
the
telling you,
process and talk
Adam,
about RealVolve.
he's amazing, but not just RealVolve, but this is everything leading up to RealVolve, and then it's what's helped really scale out our processes. And then we had our agents jump in with the RealVolve conversation, so they can communicate amongst each other, but also so all the agents on the team have buy-in on the process, so they'll use it. So yeah, after a certain amount of time. So this is going back to the car dealer. What I found is that for one reason or another, somebody doesn't want to communicate. So they end up ghosting the individual, the agent that's been reaching out. So we give other agents the opportunity. Look, and what we found is that the conversion rates happen quick. So the first one that we do is we'll actually have an agent jump on and give a call from their phone and say, hey, what's going on? Yeah, I work with, or I'll even jump on and say, hey, agent on our team, Justin, right? Justin was reaching out. I just want to call not to really ask about what you're looking for, but how is Justin doing? How's he doing with you? How's his service? I'm always looking to find out if they're really providing really good service. So I'm either going to find out that they hate Justin or, oh, well, I've been busy. Yeah, I've been meaning to get a hold of him. Fantastic. Tell you what, I'm going to have Justin reach out to you. So that's kind of the first step. Second step is the agent will actually touch base. Hey, I'm working with Justin. He wanted me to reach out to you to see how things are going, see if I can be of service, see if they're going to answer a different phone. Next, we're going to release back to the pond. What we found, the conversion rates go up in a huge way because a lot of people will start ghosting that number because they weren't ready at that moment. But if it's been a month or 2 months and then another agent with a different phone number calls that same lead, next thing you know, they're ready. So now that agent got a deal. So we do release a certain number that goes back to the pond after X amount of time in our processes. So that way other people have an opportunity, because that's really, I've always looked at it like, even when for those of you that like to cold call expireds, especially in a market where there's a lot of expireds, not right now, but cold calling expireds, I never looked at what just came out that day. I typically would cold call expireds that were already expired for about 3 to 6 months. And that's where I made a majority of my money. In my opinion, when you look at your pond, if you're already on a team or if you're a team lead and you want to explain this, the people that have already been sitting in the pond for 3 months, 6 months, that other agents like, oh, they're cold. No, they're not. That's where the money is. That's where you start the process and the conversation, the follow-up. But again, a lot of agents are looking for the low-hanging fruits for like, oh, it just came in. This is going to make me money. Actually, the monies are the people that have already started the process. They started thinking about buying a house. They jumped on your website. They left their information. They wanted somebody to communicate with them, but they didn't just go in there today and say, you know what, I want to buy a house this weekend. Take me out, right? It's a process. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on the market, and it's gut wrenching. It's stressful. It's life changing. They're closing a chapter, opening a chapter. There's a lot of emotion that's going on there, and I don't think enough agents are empathetic to that. And in the process, they lose a lot of opportunity and make more profit. And I don't want to look at it like it's just a profit deal. They lose an opportunity to really create a new connection, a new relationship for somebody that's in their sphere, because it's not just about that closing or that deal, right? It's about working with them and continue to build a relationship, because all of the other people they're going to introduce you to, it's your future business from them as well. They become a fanatic about what you provide, and they're going to tell everybody about you. That's your past clients.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's exciting to get a big commission check. There's a different emotion attached to connecting with all of those people that you talk to every day and that you're helping to serve. And it's not as high of an emotional reward. You're not on this mountain like you are when you close a big commission, but it's the fulfilling side of the business, right? When we get to connect with people, that's what can sustain us month in, month out when things are really tough. We remind ourselves of those connections and what we're doing to really help the community and the families that we work with.
Right. But isn't that, and I'll get to team accountability here in a second, but isn't that everything? So this is where I think a lot of people get confused.
Yeah.
This is relationships. This is your marriage. This is your fitness. So, here's how to win at anything. And this is, you can win at being horrible or win at being great, right? Good actions consistently over an extended period of time will help you become great. Bad actions consistently over an extended period of time will make you be awful. So you literally could be really freaking great at being unhealthy. It's not hard. Just kind of keep doing unhealthy things consistently over an extended period of time. But the issue with that is there's no instant gratification to it. So there's no reward. You don't feel good. So going to the gym and eating healthy sucks. And the reason why it sucks is because you have to do it over an extended period of time before you look at yourself and go, wow, not only do I feel good, but look at me. You don't go to the gym 1 or 2 days or even a week and look at yourself and go, oh, look at me. I mean, some guys do, but it's very rare. Right? It's something you have to do consistently. Well, this business, any business, But this business specifically, since that's what we're talking about, especially working inbound leads, which is what this topic is about, it is not about today. It is about cultivating and creating, doing good actions consistently over an extended period of time will make you win. It's impossible not to. It's impossible not to. But that's just my opinion. Same as again, relationships and marriage. Oh, well, she just doesn't understand. But over the last, 5 years, 10 years, 1 year that you've been married, how often do you sit down and just communicate? How often do you just sit down and talk, or do you just guys get together and watch Netflix? Okay, well, yeah, you're probably on a rough track right now. There you are, because you want to feel good today. Good luck. That's not how life works.
Have you read James Clear's book, Atomic Habits?
I haven't. I've heard a ton about it. Hold on, I'm writing it down. I have. I've heard a lot about it.
You got to read that.
But I haven't read it yet.
So because you just said something that reminded me is a really powerful concept in that book is this 1% rule that he calls it. James Clear calls it this 1% rule. And if you get 1% better every day for a year, then you are 37 times better after a year or something crazy like that.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you get 1% worse, every day, you're only actually 3% worse over the year, because it's such a small thing to get 1% worse versus 1% better. So even if you're only getting 1% better a third of the time, and you're getting 1% worse 2/3 of the time, you still get massive gains. It's just the laws of nature. It's just how it works out.
Right.
So what you were just talking about really rings true. And in just trying for those little tiny improvements, that's where all of the gold happens. That's where we make massive gains. It doesn't feel like it because it's only a 1% difference. But just getting 1% better every month or every week or anything like that actually turns into massive gains in the long run, because getting a little bit worse doesn't affect you as much.
Yeah. And especially when it comes to inbound leads.
Pretty crazy.
And that's the big one. So I've heard it before. People like, oh, inbound leads don't work. And I'm telling you, it's because of how they work them. They're not working them. They aren't consistent. I think, where people get confused, they think here it's not confused. It's just a different way of looking at it. They think if they start paying for inbound leads, they're just going to magically make money. This always blows my mind about real estate agents. I'm just going to make money. No. And yes, you can just make money, but it's a process. You actually got to freaking work. If you do work, you're going to make really great money. The returns are phenomenal. I'm a huge fan of the returns for inbound leads. It makes great freaking sense. And it's a better way to edge your local competition, or even stretch out and find markets. Like we just recently found a market through inbound leads, PPC, that we would have probably never thought about getting into, because I also do test markets outside of the markets that we're in to try to find that next really hot market that's giving me returns. And also so I look at my cost per click, cost per lead, cost per click, and what are the returns I'm getting in that market. So like we recently moved into Orange County. We're killing it. Love it. A huge fan. Never thought about it, but here we are, really doing well in there. Beverly Hills, I talked about it. We recently started moving into Beverly Hills. Same thing. I would have never expected to do so damn well in Beverly Hills. It's a fantastic, some fantastic campaigns that are going there. So we talked about how it routed. We talked about, so team accountability. And then somebody asked for podcast, Rex, if we have time. So team accountability, this is how we hold each other accountable. So first thing in the morning, we have a 7 o'clock call and a 7:30 call. Our agents can jump on there, either one, and it's not a requirement, but we also express that, dude, you want to do this. All we're asking is you jump on and you tell everybody, this is what I'm doing today to make $10,000 today. It's your moment it's almost like your personal affirmation. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I want to let you know, so you're not going to prove me a liar. Today, I'm making my cold calls at this time. I'm going to be doing my inbound leads at this time. I'm going to be doing my follow-up at this time. This is what I'm doing today to make $10,000 today. And we do one at 7 and one at 7:30. It takes no more than maybe 10, 15 minutes. It's just so everybody can jump on there and say what's up, right? Next one is we have we use Signal, but we have a text group, where we all actually throughout the day, this is what's going on. That's also so agents cross-platform talk. I just picked up a listing who has a buyer. I have a buyer that's looking for this type of a listing, and also so we can hold each other accountable on there. So it's almost like a place where you could shotgun blast people. Depending how you look at it, if you don't know what that means, maybe it's a Marine Corps thing, but you're basically saying, gotcha, and putting them right on the spot and saying, hey, by the way, did you do this? You said you were doing it today, to everybody on the team. And if you didn't, If you feel embarrassed and you're hurt about it, well, too bad. You said you were going to do it. I didn't say you're going to do it. You said you're going to do it. Now you're upset because I'm holding you accountable to what you said you were going to do. Don't be mad at me. Punch yourself. Yep. Right. So that's another one. Every Tuesday we have team training. It's actually done by Zoom. So we do coaching every Tuesday. That's a mass block for everybody on the team. Every Thursday we have a team meeting where we actually all meet. And then we do a KSA meetup. Like tonight, we're going to Coin Op. It's an adult video game place, hanging out, having a couple beers, eating, and playing video games. After that, it's team meetup once a week. And then Adam does one-on-ones with all of the agents. That's for Firepoint and RealVolve. And I do one-on-ones with all the agents every week. We schedule this in calendar. And that's for one-on-one coaching, face-to-face, or even if they need to on the phone. It is, you got 30 minutes to what are your biggest challenges? What are your biggest victories? And how can I help? And you actually get, teach, coach, mentor. That's a lot of my job. So every agent is being touched multiple times throughout the week to help them be successful. I'm a firm believer. The agents don't work for me. I work for them. Again, I manage Kim Steele Associates. Kim Steele is the real boss ultimately. And she's my wife too. So she's the boss there. I'm ruled by her throughout every aspect of my life, which I'm good with it, but with me managing it, my full-time job is to work for the agents. What can I do to help them obtain their dreams? And we start the year off with big goals, big visions. And we sit down, okay, this month, what did you have to get done this month to accomplish that? Where are you at? What are you doing? Okay, we're not changing your goal. We're changing your habits. We need to change your production. We need to change your effort so you can still get what you wanted this year. And that's how I view my job. So that's how we hold each other accountable. We hold each other accountable and also the agents. So that's that. I don't know if I answered the accountability question.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so much good stuff there. I feel like it's clear. I mean, I knew you guys were good, but this is just really giving me a sense. Everything that you're sharing today has given me a sense of how much you really care about your clients and your team, because you wouldn't invest all of that time and energy into process, into systems, into accountability, if you didn't have this very high level of expectations and care about people. You've built in the concern that you have for your agents and their success, and for yourself and for the team and that success there. You've built that all into your systems and your processes. So you don't have to accidentally show how much you care. It's built in, it's on purpose. You said before, you're deliberate about making money. You're obviously deliberate about caring about people as well, which I love. And you're using the systems and the traditions and the process to make sure that happens.
Yeah. And, everybody can have an off day. It's funny because as soon as you said that, so on my to-do list, I'm looking at it to my left and I just pulled it up so I could giggle about it. Before I start my day every day, and I end my day the same way, I like to bookend my days. Right. And part of that bookend is updating my to-do list because I don't want to think throughout the day. I just want to know what I'm doing. And the very top of that to-do list, and it's huge, it says time is the currency of leadership. Put in the time. And I think anybody that's looking to run a team, build a team, or even when you look at, and I'm a deep believer of this, your client, you are the leader in that relationship. You're the alpha dog, if you will. You're supposed to be guiding them. You're supposed to be teaching them, coaching them, and mentoring them as well, so they can get what they want. And if they're getting, so Zig Ziglar, help enough people get what they want, you're going to get what you want to. And, or I think the other famous one that I love from him is, if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, it didn't get there by itself. You're right. So I'm a firm believer, time is the currency of leadership, and we all have bad days. There's going to be days where I put my head on the covers and I don't want to get out of bed, but I just have to, try to remind myself, time is the currency. That's what I have to pay in order to continue to get what I want, to chase what I want, what's inside of my heart, where I want to be, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So, yeah.
Yeah. So such good stuff there. Well, we got about 5 minutes left, Chris, and man, this has been such a treat to be able to pick your brain again. We could spend easily 3 or 4 more hours. I just love everything that you guys are doing and how you guys approach everything there at the team. And man, I know your agents are extremely hardworking people, and you and Kim are just killing it.
And I'll tell you, if anybody's watching this from Southern California, If you're in Southern California, LA, all the way to San Diego, hit me up. I'm looking right now. I'm looking for some good agents. And here's the thing, you don't need to be a top producer. I just need somebody that, honestly, I just want somebody that's got heart. If you got some heart and you want it bad, I'll teach you how to get the money. I just need somebody that's willing to do whatever it takes and work their ass off. So yeah, if you're down here, hit me up. You can, my name's right there on the bottom, right there. You can look me up. I'm on every social media platform.
Yeah, you're doing such a good job with the tools and the systems that we build too. It makes us really proud and appreciative that you're putting in the time and dedication into our tools. We always appreciate your feedback, et cetera. So if anybody has any questions for Chris, we got 4 minutes now. If you have questions for Chris about what he's doing, if you have questions for me about what we're doing at Firepoint, and even RealVolve was mentioned today. And just for clarity, Firepoint, we do lead generation, lead management, and CRM on the lead side, including IDX website. Some really cool things with ROI reporting, lead distribution. We talked a little bit about pawns and lead distribution today. That's kind of everybody's favorite thing about Firepoint. We just do a killer job there. The guys, the engineers, and the team that came up with those pawns, I think that's one of the most awesome, underrated things that we're doing. Yeah.
If you do it right, it's just a real.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely valuable. When you're doing lead generation and lead conversion, you got to keep a really tight eye on things, or it can get squirrely and get out of hand pretty quickly. And then RealVolve, we're doing some really cool things with some automation as well on the customer service side, transactions, listing management, that kind of thing. So yeah, go to firepoint.net/demo, and Jacob put that in the chat for you there. Firepoint.net/demo. We would love to have a conversation with you. We only hire true professionals that care about real estate agents, real estate industry. We love this industry. We love working with real estate agents and helping them be better, especially at the lead generation, lead conversion side of things. So go to firepoint.net/demo. We'll have a quick conversation with you, ask you about what you're doing. And we always say no is a perfectly acceptable answer. So we're not here to hard sell anybody. We want to just have a conversation, figure out if we are a good fit for you or not. And again, no is a perfectly acceptable answer. So what other questions does everybody have here for Chris?
Yeah, and while we're waiting on a question, so I'm going to chime in for Firepoint too. So here's my thing. Firepoint has become the keystone for our overall business. Everything revolves around Firepoint. Whether we're buying houses, selling houses, nurturing leads, we even use we use it for everything. It's kind of the central part for every agent that connects the entire team together. And I've used other systems. Again, if you look me up online, I'm not going to say all that stuff, but if you look me up online, you're going to find me. You'll hear that I talk about other systems that I've used in the past. Some of them still good too. Some of them awful. Somebody mentioned one of them earlier. I as soon as I saw it, I didn't even talk about it because I'm not going to talk trash about somebody here. You can find me on YouTube. But horrible CRM. Run scared, please. But Firepoint really has become central to it. And I think the best part is, I wish I could say other people. I'm not going to. The other part is, this is the best one that I like about it. There's other groups that are pretty good that I've used, but I love the fact that if I need something, there's a challenge, I have an idea, I call Firepoint and I just tell them, this is an idea I have. I'm concerned about this. Here's a challenge. You're screwing over my team. My team needs this, and they're not getting it. And I think sometimes I can be demanding, but at the same time, this is one of the few systems for us where I'm paying for it, and it should be respected as such. If I'm paying for something, I want a service. We're continuing to grow. We're continuing to put more money into it, and we're continuing to do stuff. I don't want to hear, well, oh, that's just not what we do, or a freaking voicemail that nobody ever calls me back on. It pisses me off. So that's just my opinion. Firepoint has become really huge for us, and that's why, me personally, I don't mind jumping on here for free and taking time out of my schedule to help out whatever I'm asked.
Well, we really appreciate that, Chris. And it looks like Jacob and the two of us got to all of the questions that came in.
Cool, man.
People are starting to hop off, so we'll wrap it up. But again, thank you so much for your time, Chris. We owe you one. Jacob said he's going to send you a T-shirt.
On a T-shirt, man. Is that too much to ask for?
Apparently not. You just got to ask. So
cool.
Anyway, Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it. We're going to send out the replay. Go to firepoint.net/demo. We would love to have a quick conversation with you. Thanks for joining, and we will see you on the next one. Bye for now.
All right. Appreciate y'all. Thanks. Have a good one.